It's time for KP Video News. KP Video News, y'all. KP Video News, y'all. KP Video News, y'all. Right.
That's right. KP's Video News, y'all. Telling you, man, some old crazy stuff going on in the world today.
And you know what time it is?
Again. That's right. You know what time it is. KP's Video News, man. And it seems like every day it's some crazy. I run into these stories, you know, and it's like they catch you. Sometimes they catch you off guard. Sometimes you just say, "Oh, well, business as usual." And this is one of those weird stories, man, with a twist, an unbelievable twist that can only happen in America, man. Only happen in America. And so here we go. You got the FBI is investigating a reported assault on a black man in Indiana. And this actual assault actually happened last year around this time. But fast forward to today, the FBI stated today that it's investigating the reported assault of a black man by a group of white men at a southern Indiana lake. Vox Booker, a civil rights activist and member of the Monroe County Human Rights Commission, said the men pinned him against a tree, shouted racial slurs, and one of them threatened to get a noose at Monroe Nick near Bloomington over the 4th of July weekend in 2020. Much of the assault was captured on cell phone video by Booker's acquaintances. The FBI is investigating, and it said we have no further comment. That's what the FBI said. They're investigating this situation. And so Booker's attorney, Leo, said the FBI was questioning witnesses and that charging decisions would be made soon. We want this investigated as a hate crime. It was clearly racially motivated. Leo said, we will continue our quest every day until some justice is served. Booker said he was pleased that the FBI got involved. I'm sad this happened, honestly, Booker said. I just wanted to have a good time with some friends at the lake. Leo also complained that law enforcement officers with the Indiana Department of Natural Resources did not move rapidly enough in response to the report of the attack. He stated that the failure to make arrests at the scene warrants further investigation from other law enforcement agencies. Bloomington Mayor John Hamilton said at a news conference that the police continue to search for two people accused of knocking a woman unconscious and dragging a man with their car at a protest over the assault on Booker. This is recently. This just happened. Police Captain Ryan Padigo stated that the confrontation happened near Monroe County Courthouse in Bloomington Monday. A male passenger got out of a red Toyota car and went to move an electric scooter that had been left on the road near the protest site. Padigo stated the 29-year-old woman approached the car and placed her hands on the hood. He stated the driver accelerated into the woman, launching her onto the hood. 35-year-old man then grabbed the driver's side of the car and held on while the vehicle continued to accelerate. Both were eventually flung to the ground and the car fled the scene. The woman was knocked unconscious and suffered a cut to her head while the man scraped his arm. She was transported by ambulance to a hospital, but her injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. Authorities have not released the identities of the injured nor said if they were participating in the protest. The red Toyota has been located, and investigators are still trying to determine the identities and location of the male passenger and female driver, police stated in a news release. Several protesters provided police with cell phone footage. The event last evening will be actively and aggressively investigated right now, Hamilton stated, and we're taking whatever steps to bring the justice to that event. Protesters had gathered in Bloomington, about 50 miles southwest of Indianapolis, to demand the arrest in the assault on Booker. They haven't arrested anybody. The people that assaulted Booker, they haven't even arrested them. However, here's the twist. Here's the twist in the story. The civil rights activist who stated that the white man threatened to get a noose now he's facing charges. The victim is facing charges, and so Vox Booker, of Southern Indiana, was charged with trespassing and battery, a misdemeanor and a felony, respectively, connected to the July 4, 2020 incident at Lake Monroe. 5 men, one of them who wore a Confederate flag hat and shouted slurs and white power, reportedly pinned Booker to a tree. When Booker broke free, he called the police, but matters only got worse, and in retaliation, the white men allegedly accused Booker of trespassing private property. The men claimed Booker apologized, but the situation got physical. Booker said one of the men planned to break his arm and get a noose. Witnesses who were with Booker recalled the slurs being used and were told to leave the boy here, we'll take care of him. The incident was recorded on a cell phone and shared on social media. The FBI is investigating the possible hate crime involving the alleged attackers, and a determination has yet to be made. Man, what a twist. The person that's the victim ends up getting charged, but the people that attacked him are still free and they haven't been charged yet. Yep, I'm going to run through this one real quick because I don't really like to talk about this particular person. But the Department of Justice officials rejected a colleague's request to intervene in the 2020 elections. Top members of the Department of Justice last year rebuffed another DOJ official who asked them to urge officials in Georgia to investigate and perhaps overturn President Joe Biden's victory in that state. Long a bitter point of contention with former D.C. Dunce and his team before the results were certified by Congress. Emails reviewed show. The emails dated December 28th, 2020 show the former acting head of the DOJ Civil Division, Jeffrey Clark, circulating a draft letter which he wanted then acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen to and acting Deputy Attorney General Donahue to sign off on, urging Georgia's governor and top officials to convene the state legislature into a special session so lawmakers could investigate claims of voter fraud. So we got somebody at the Department of Justice that was trying to intervene in the elections, but he added that the draft letter statement that the DOJ would update lawmakers on investigatory progress was dubious, as we do not typically update non-law enforcement personnel on the progress of any investigations. Later that evening, Rosen responded as well, telling both Clark and Donahue, I confirmed again today that I am not prepared to sign such a letter. And so Donahue and Rosen refused. Clark was trying to get them to sign this letter and send this letter to the governor of Georgia to come up with some garbage to overturn the election in Georgia, but DOJ didn't go along with it. They didn't go along with the madness. So we got Maryland's governor has a message for Lamar Jackson. This is Lamar Jackson, football player, quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, and the governor, Larry Hogan of Maryland, stated that Lamar's got to get vaccinated. Hogan stated, with the rules the NFL put down, I can't imagine the team wanted to forfeit the game or lose a chance at the playoffs, and none of the players are getting paid because someone won't get vaccinated. The NFL was long stated it won't force players to get vaccinated. The league instead has allowed more freedom for vaccinated players as opposed to unvaccinated. So that means right now, as a matter of fact, Jackson, they just got placed on the COVID list. so he won't be able to return to Baltimore's practice until this coming weekend. So, man, just get the doggone shot, man. Just get the shot. Okay, so this day here I never knew existed, and this is going out to the sisters out there, and it's a day, and I guess that day is today. Black Women's Equal Pay Day. So, given the durability of its so-called glass ceiling, and it's after when the U.S. government brought its first gender pay discrimination lawsuit in the late 1960s, the company at the center of the case was a large New Jersey glass-making facility. The company had been founded in the late 1800s, but by 1956 ran headlong into what described as court documents as a shortage of male workers. The situation prompted the company, in an agreement with union representing its workers, to hire women as selector packers, forbidden from lifting items over 35 pounds. Beyond that one limitation, many men and women inside the company did the same work and were responsible almost all of the same tasks, and yet they did not take home the same salaries until the government lawyers ultimately prevailed in the U.S. Supreme Court in January 1970, winning wage equality and back pay for women. The case established a core principle in pay equity. People doing essentially the same work should receive the same pay. Paying women differently violates the Equal Pay Act of 1963 and the elements of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and yet descriptions of the case typically do not address a core factor that shapes wage inequality in the U.S., race, and the way it interacts with gender. For the 44.7% of black women who were part of the U.S. labor force in the early 1970s, and for the 60.5% of black women who worked in 2019, that dynamic has shaped and influenced almost every facet of their lives. Today, 5 decades after the Supreme Court ruled in favor of equal pay, the average black woman in the U.S. would have to work longer than 19 months to earn what a white man does in 12. She would have to work a bit less. But still more than a year to take home what a white woman makes. To mark that fact, Black Women's Equal Pay Day 2021 today falls today, and for Native American and Latino women, that day is even later. In some ways, however, it makes sense that the groundbreaking 1970 ruling about equal pay would not mention the way that race and gender can shape experiences in the workplace. After all, much of today's wage gap between black and white women is linked to factors that only arose in the last 30 years. The wage gap is often described as a pay opportunity difference between white men and all women. But once you know the history, it's clear that the gap between groups of women is just as important, and the white men share an obligation to address it. But if you're going to be waiting on them to help you get the same amount of money they get, you're sadly mistaken, and you're definitely dreaming, because they could care less whether you get that money. So you gotta have to work. You're gonna have to work hard on this. This guy here, he's probably going, this is just an opinion, and it's about R. Kelly and his alleged sexual contact and all the stuff that he's done. I don't think he's probably going to ever get out of jail. I think he's probably going to be in jail for the rest of his life. However, this story here has to do with R. Kelly and claims and concedes sexual contact between him and underage a wife, Aaliyah. But then, let me read the story. A lawyer for R. Kelly conceded Tuesday that the singer had sexual contact with recording artist Aaliyah during an awkward exchange over the R&B star's illegal marriage when she was just 15. But Kelly's defense lawyer, Thomas Farnella, quickly walked back the surprising admission about Kelly and underage Are You That Somebody Singer? One of the allegations against Kelly in his Brooklyn federal criminal case is that he bribed an Illinois official to issue a wedding certificate in 1994 and stating that Aaliyah was 18, which, if true, would have made the marriage legal. Farnella made the admission under questioning from Judge Ann Donnelly. Are you going to deny that there was sexual contact between Jane Doe 1? Donnelly asked, using the pseudonym that Aaliyah goes by in the criminal case. They were married. Farnella let out a deep sigh sitting on the defense table next to Kelly and responded, no. Federal prosecutor Elizabeth Geddes then chimed in, giving Farnella an opening to walk back his remark by reminding him that Aaliyah was underage at the time. Are they not going to dispute that time that Jane Doe 1 was between 13 to 15 years old? Geddes asked. We do not dispute, Farnella said, though it was not clear if he was referring to Aaliyah's age or the fact that the two had sexual relationship. We are not prepared to concede that right now. Aaliyah Halton was a performing artist and actress who had a mysterious friendship with Kelly for years before the two were secretly married in 1994 when she was 15 years old and R. Kelly was 27 years old. Aaliyah passed away in 2001 in a plane crash in the Bahamas. And Farnella's awkward admission came during the final pretrial hearing for Kelly's racketeering case that is set to begin Monday. Man, this guy ain't gonna never get out. He ain't gonna never get out of jail, man. On Tuesday, the feds and Kelly's defense team sparred over additional uncharged crimes that federal prosecutors seek to raise at trial. Among them are allegations that Kelly had sex with underage boys, whom he then forced to engage in sex with minor girls. And another Kelly lawyer asked the judge Tuesday to provide Kelly with free court transcripts, saying that the singer's funds have been depleted since he has not worked since his incarceration. So not only is he in jail, going through the motions, all that, he's broke. Wow, it's crazy, man. This is breaking news right here. Breaking news, folks. This is breaking news. They had an officer that has been killed at a burst of violence outside the Pentagon, and an officer died after being stabbed today during a burst of violence at a transit station outside of the Pentagon. Law enforcement officials stated the Pentagon, the headquarters of the United States military, was temporarily placed on lockdown after gunshots were fired Tuesday morning near the entrance of the building. A Pentagon officer who was stabbed later died, according to the officials who were not authorized to discuss the matter and spoke on the condition of anonymity. More details about the violence were expected at the Pentagon news conference. The connection between the shooting and the stabbing of the officer was not immediately clear. The authorities did not immediately provide details of the sequence of events. The incident occurred on a Metro bus platform that is part of the Pentagon Transit Center. The Pentagon Protection Agency tweeted, the facility is just steps away from the Pentagon building, which is in Arlington, Virginia, just across from Washington, D.C. A reporter near the building heard multiple gunshots, then a pause, then at least one additional shot. Pentagon the journalist stated that he heard somebody yell "shooter." Pentagon announcement said that the facility is on lockdown due to police activity, and the agency responsible for security at the building, the Pentagon Force Protection Agency, stated before noon that the scene of the incident was secure and the lockdown was lifted, except for the area around the crime scene. Wow. These people going crazy out here, folks. Going crazy. They have lost their cotton-picking minds out here. So you got to do what you got to do, folks. You got to do what you got to do, and you got to stay safe. Stay safe. This was another little crazy story that happened. Where did this story happen? Happened in Louisiana. A man was arrested in his tuxedo over the weekend for allegedly shooting his friend and chasing his new bride down the interstate after accusing the two of having an affair. So this guy, Devin Jones, 30, was driving with his wife and friend after leaving their marriage ceremony on Saturday when the three got stuck in the I-10 traffic. And so an argument ensued, and the friend fled the vehicle. The suspect allegedly chased him and shot him in the leg. A second male victim in a nearby vehicle was also struck in the hand by a stray bullet. The unnamed victim and his two teenage children were on their way home after arriving at the New Orleans airport. Both victims were airlifted to the New Orleans hospital. The uninvolved motorist has been discharged while the other victims reportedly still in the hospital. Jones also allegedly chased his wife, who fled and found safety in a nearby ambulance en route to the crash scene that had caused a traffic jam. An off-duty officer who was also stuck in the traffic jam heard the 911 call over his radio and was the primary officer in Jones' arrest. Jones was taken into custody on 2 counts of aggravated criminal damage to property, illegal use of weapon and dangerous instruments, and a felony aggravated battery and attempted second-degree murder. So this guy, he stated that his best friend was fooling around with the woman that he just married. If it starts off wrong, it ends wrong, folks. I'll see it every time. If it starts off wrong, it ends wrong. Watch out. Watch out, man. Take your time. Screen them. Take your time. Don't be rushing into these marriages, man. Better dig deep. Dig deep into the background of these people, man, before you decide you want to go down there and you want to tie the knot, or as some guys call it, make that fatal mistake.
And you know what time it is? It's time for KP's Video
KP's Video News, y'all.